Hey, I'm Laura Davis, a time management strategist for high achieving working moms just like you. And I help you ditch the hot mess and level up your work life balance using a proven time management framework. On today's episode, we are going all back to school and we are talking about morning and evening routines and how you can create a routine that will actually work for you, make your life easier, and one that you will stick with consistently. But before we dig into it, make sure that you head over to thelauraddavis.com/work week to sign up for my free 5-day training, Master Your Work Week Challenge, where you will learn how to master your work week in less than 15 minutes a day. All right, so let's dig into this episode today because this has been a highly requested topic from all of you, and I want to make sure that we deliver and that we talk about this. So let's think back real quick to before we had kids, right? It kind of makes me chuckle a little bit, but let's look at what our morning routine looked like before you had kids. If you were anything like me, your morning consisted of waking up at the very last minute with just enough time to shower, get ready, and rush out the door and make it to work just on time. I knew down to the minute that I needed to wake up, which it was 6:23, if you're wondering. I knew that I could sleep until that very minute and still get up, rush through getting ready, and get out the door and make my commute to work and get to my desk by 8:15 every morning. And that's exactly what I did. I did not really have time for anything else in the morning. I just got up, rushed through getting ready, and then headed out the door. But if I tried to do that right now as a mom, it just makes me laugh because that would make my nervous system short circuit from the amount of stress and chaos that trying to do that would cause. There is no way that I could wait until the very last moment to wake up and then get myself up, get Harper up, get both of us ready. And it would just be chaos. Now, is that to say that every single one of our mornings right now are absolutely perfect? No, of course not. But there are some things that I have done to kind of stack the odds in our favor of having successful mornings and evenings. And I'm going to share the most impactful action item that you can do right now this week as we head back into the back to school time. I'm going to give you that most impactful action that you can use to create a morning and an evening routine during this really busy season of life because we're getting back into school time. That immediately leads into the holidays. There just really isn't a slowdown until the end of the year, really until New Year's. There isn't that much of a slowdown, and it's only August. So we're going to break down this action step into a couple of bite-sized pieces. I'm going to give you 3 steps. And this is something that you can do whenever you are looking at your morning routine, your evening routine. It's going to make them so much more enjoyable during the school year. And it's also going to make them easier for you to stick to them consistently. Because one thing that I've heard from a lot of working moms is that they want a routine, they want a morning routine, but then once they create one, they find it so difficult to stick with it. So if that's you, this is your episode. This one's for you. So step 1, and if you have pen and paper, please, please, please pull it out. If not, make sure that you revisit this with pen and paper and notebook. So if you are listening to this during your commute or maybe while you work out, that's great, but revisit it with pen and paper if you can. So step 1 is going to be outlining what you want your mornings or your evenings to look like. Do you want to go on a sunrise walk? Do you want to go on a sunset walk every day? Do you need an hour to work on your business? Do you want time to work out in the morning? Do you want time to read? Do you want time to straighten up the house a little bit? What do you want in your mornings? And make a list of that. And also outline how long you think each of those things might take you. So, for walks in the morning, maybe you want 30 minutes to do that. For reading a book, maybe you just want 15 minutes. Maybe a workout, you need 45 minutes. Write out what you want your mornings to look like and how much time you want to be able to give those things. So for me, personally, I want to be able to focus on my health and my business in the mornings because that's when my brain is the freshest. That's when I know I have the capacity for a workout. And so, I also know that helping Harper get ready for school is another thing, but that's in a different step. So, what I want my mornings to look like is I want to be able to focus on my health and I want to be able to focus on my business. And so I decided to split my mornings between those two priorities. So on Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays, my primary focus is my business. On Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I work out in the mornings. I also work out on Saturday and Sunday since the weekends are a lot easier for me to be flexible with when I work out. So that way I'm still getting 4 workouts in a week, but I'm also getting 3 dedicated business days to my business. So that likely means that I have an hour each of those mornings to be able to work on my business, to serve my clients, to write content if I need to be able to come up with new offers if I need to, whatever that might be. I have that dedicated time to work on my business. And the other days, I can get a workout in. That way, those 2 priorities that I have are my main focus in the mornings. I also know that, when I was looking at what days do I want to work out versus what days do I want to focus on my business, I also know that I go horseback riding. I ride my horse Trooper on Mondays and Thursdays. So I know that those are not good days for me to work out in the morning because I'm going to have basically a full body workout that evening. So I made sure that Mondays and Thursdays were 2 of the days that I am able to focus on my business. So that's also something for you to consider, is that holistic picture of your schedule and your calendar when you're picking what you want to do in your mornings. For evenings, my biggest priority is that I want to close my house every evening. And I know that closing my house makes me wake up a lot less stressed. And I know that when I close my house, I can keep that routine really simple so that I'll stick with it and I never regret it. The only times I have regrets is when I wake up the next morning and I'm like, dang, I forgot to close my house last night. I need to do a couple of extra things this morning. So having a closing routine is also a really good idea for you to consider for your evenings. Mine is super, super simple. It's only a couple of things. I close all the blinds in our house. I straighten all the pillows on the couch. I do the dishes in the sink from the day, and I wipe down the kitchen counters. That is my closing routine. If there's a lot of toys out or a lot of things out, I'll also straighten up, but we try to do that in real time. And honestly, with Harper being almost 6, all of her toys are really contained in specific areas and she knows how to clean up after herself. So that closing routine might look different for you. One note that I do want to say here is that you are not meant to be super productive in the evenings. It's okay to not be super productive in the evenings. The way that our cortisol and our adrenaline works in our body is that we have spikes in the morning and then it begins to taper off the rest of the day. That is your body's natural rhythm so that you can go to bed at night. Because if you're having a huge cortisol spike in the evenings, you're not going to be able to go to bed and get a good night's sleep. So don't stress out if you feel like you're not being productive enough in the evenings, because that's how it's supposed to be. You're not supposed to be super productive in the evenings. You're supposed to start resting and getting ready for bed. All right, so step 2 is I want you to write out the things that you have to do in the mornings or the evenings. Do the kids have to be ready and at the bus stop by 7:30? Do you have to leave the house at a certain time? Do you need to get the kids ready in the morning, or is your spouse doing that? What are the non-negotiables in the mornings and in the evenings? So for me, the main have to items are getting Harper ready for school and out the door to the bus stop. After looking at my mornings, I decided to kind of take an untraditional approach. Normally, I like to get ready for the day all in one bucket of time. Usually, in about an hour, I will dedicate an hour to getting ready, where I do my makeup, I do my hair, I get dressed, all of that stuff. But during the school year, what I noticed when I was looking at my calendar is that I need to actually split up my getting ready time. So I'm going to get ready and in phase 1 by doing my makeup, and then I'm going to wait, get Harper ready, get her out on the bus stop, and then I'm going to do my hair after that to finish up getting ready for the day. Like I said, I usually prefer to get ready all at one time, but this is just an example of an untraditional or creative solution that you might have to think of whenever you start coming up with your morning routines. And be open to those unique solutions. Don't just automatically throw them out the window because it's not what you're used to. Try something different and see if it works for you. And for my life in the evenings, one of my biggest to-dos is going to be packing Harper's lunch for school. And I decided to approach this part of the routine with a habit stacking strategy, which means that I pair this new habit of packing Harper's lunch with an existing habit that I already do currently. So I'm going to pack Harper's lunch the night before while I'm cooking or cleaning up from dinner. And I need to test this out a little bit. And there might be some tweaks to this because we don't always eat at home. We do eat out quite a bit. And so I'll need to figure out how to have that habit stacking for packing for lunches on the nights that we eat out. Which you might also have those moments in those sections of your routine where you're like, man, I just don't know if this is going to work. Give it a shot. Give it a shot and see what happens. And if you need to tweak it, that's okay. It's okay to not get it perfect the first time. So, step 3 is that you are going to marry together steps 1 and step 2 to create your morning or your evening routine. And like I said, this does take effort and it does take some negotiations with yourself and with your family, but it is 100% possible to create an effective routine that you actually enjoy. And this step is kind of like putting a puzzle together, right? Where you have to see what pieces fit where, and you have to test and tweak and pivot for the first couple of weeks that you're trying out this new routine. But eventually, you are going to get it to a point where it works for you. And I also want to share a couple of bonus tips. So that was the 3-step framework, but I really want to get into several bonus tips for you to keep in mind because yes, those 3 steps are very simple and those are the foundation of building a new routine, but these additional steps are really going to be the game changers for you. So number 1 is that like I said, not every routine has to be the same every single day. So the way that I teach my clients inside of Time Management Academy is to think about routines as an outline for that time frame of the day, even if the outline is different day to day. And so, notice, like, go back to step 1 where I was explaining my morning routines. They are different for different days of the week. I don't try to force the exact same routine every single day of the week. The second tip is to prep what you can the night before, such as lunches, outfits, hair accessories. If you want to make that a part of your closing routine during the school year, that's a great idea too. Or if you want to lay out all of your kids' clothes on Sunday nights for Monday through Friday, that's a great idea too. We have a little organizer that has the days of the weeks labeled for Harper, and we do that during the school year. We will lay out all of her outfits Sunday night so that that saves us time in the mornings and takes out some of that temper tantrum meltdowns that can happen over choosing clothes. Now, it does still happen sometimes where she will get to the outfit for that day and she doesn't want to wear it, but it does help decrease the amount of tantrums. The third extra tip is to communicate these new routines and the expectations with your family. So make sure that your kids are involved in these routines. Make sure that your spouse is involved. Harper loves her chore chart that I've shared in my Instagram stories that outlines her morning routine of what she needs to have, and she can earn little stars on her chore chart. She loves that. She thrives by that. So make sure that if you're creating a new routine, you're involving your kids, you're involving your spouse, so that way they feel like they have a little bit of ownership in that too. Also, practice your new routines for a couple of weeks instead of waiting until the first day of school to implement the new routine. This is a really important one. This is probably the biggest piece of advice I can give you is to give yourself practice time before you actually have to implement this new routine. So Harper starts school in a week. We've already been practicing for a week, so it's given us 2 weeks to practice these new routines. And it's also opened up the opportunity in a low pressure situation where I have found small little tweaks or changes that I need to make the routine run even smoother. The next tip is to test and don't guess. So, similar to the last tip of practicing your routines, don't assume that someone else's routine is going to work for you. So, everything that I've shared in this episode of what I'm doing for my routine, don't assume that that's automatically going to work for you. Test out different aspects of your routine to see what does and does not work for you and your family, because that's the most important thing, is to make sure that whatever routine you are building, it works for you and your family. Also, another tip, this is the last tip. Well, I'm sorry, second to last tip, is to keep promises to yourself. Your routine is only as good as your execution of it. And so you can create the most amazing, perfect routine for your mornings or for your evenings. But if you never act on it and you don't follow that routine, then it isn't going to work for you. So keep promises to yourself that you're making with these new routines. The last tip is to keep in mind that you're learning something new. You are learning a new skill, you're learning a new way to do things, which is going to be uncomfortable at first. This doesn't mean it's impossible or that you are not a routine person, which I've heard a lot from some people. It just means that you're doing something in a new way, that you've never done it before, and it's okay to not be good at it at first. You will eventually get better at it. So after you implement this three-step process, I would love to hear how it goes for you. Reach out to me on Instagram, its.laura.davis. Send me a message or comment on this video and let me know any wins that you've had. Share those wins. Let us know what your routine is. I would love to hear from you. And also, if you need help creating your back to school routines, like you just want the fast track, you just want somebody to do it for you, the Schedule Accelerator is the perfect one-on-one option for you to get a personalized schedule created by me, a time management expert, based on your life, your priorities, and your goals. And this process for the Schedule Accelerator starts with going through a time audit process where we look at everything that you're doing for about 7 to 10 days. I then create a custom schedule for you based on your priorities and your goals and your life. And I help you implement and execute on that new schedule to be able to get you to your goals faster, to be able to decrease that stress faster, to be able to decrease that overwhelm and that mental load for you faster. So if you want more information about the Schedule Accelerator, reach out to me, email me, message me on Instagram, or comment below on this episode, and I will send you all of the details and we'll get you started. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic week and back to school time of year, and enjoy implementing those new routines.